Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. In this episode, we're going to be taking your subjects and really help them pop. We're going to be doing a very simple technique that is easy to master in Lightroom and in Photoshop. So without any further ado, let's just get started. If you are new to this channel, my name is Shannon and I am a full-time photographer in beautiful British Columbia. Whether you're here to learn, be inspired, or simply enjoy some stunning visuals, you've come to the right place. Subscribe to my channel if you want to see more videos like this. Okay, I've got a couple of images here. This is a Kia. It is a parrot as found in New Zealand, and they're like an alpine parrot, the only one that exists, flying up amongst the snowy mountains. And I've got the second photo right here where it's flying. Now, the technique is fairly simple. We're gonna allow the eyes to draw into our subject. And right now it's doing a pretty good job. We have a catch light in their eye and it's a little dull. So we need to add a bunch of saturation, contrast, some denoise, because this is a raw image. Now the other image right here needs some, cropping to allow the room to be at the forefront of this image. So I'm just going to crop in like this. And it's more of a square image, which is pretty cool. I like square images. So these two are now ready to be edited. So how we're going to do that is by using different adjustment layers. And the first one that I like doing is a linear gradient. So I like pulling that up right here. And then bringing down the exposure, some contrast, and even the blacks here. Now the thing is, it's applying it to the whole image, when really I want this parrot to stand out from the background. So if we go up to our adjustment here and we hit negative, the subtract, we can subtract our subject from this adjustment. So you click that and pop. Our parrot is now standing out from that background. Now it's a little obvious, like it doesn't really make sense, like the darkness should maybe fill in, especially around the feathers, because you got some halo effect. So what we can do is add a plus now to our subject and brush in that adjustment. So I'm going to go down to the bottom here and brush in some of that darkness layer. Look at that. Now the subject feels a little bit more uniform with that adjustment. And we want to create contrast. So if I'm darkening the areas behind the parrot, then I want to highlight and lighten the areas in front of the parrot to really allow the eyes to draw upwards to where the detail of the eyes are, and then allow our eyes to explore the scene. Now, before we go any further, I like to do some global adjustments. Like the saturation here is just super dull. So I'm going to go up with the vibrance and saturation. I'm even going to bring up the shadows a bit. Bring the highlights down. The overall image can actually come up. Look, much, much better. And I'm going to click on adjustment layer, go to the plus icon and highlight the subject again, and maybe even give it a little bit more color, maybe some contrast. Bring down the highlights a tiny bit. Just like that. Now already this image looks, I think, pretty good. But there's a technique that I want to show you in Photoshop that Photoshop has that Lightroom doesn't. Now just before we do that, I want to crop inwards because that does not sit right with me. There, another square image. And don't worry, if you see the dust spots here, we're going to get rid of those. So let's quickly go into Photoshop. Okay, we are in Photoshop. I'm going to add another layer, Command J, to just duplicate the layer. So we're not working on the original. And then I'm going to go up to my spot removal. Remove some of these spots right here. All right, so the little technique where I want to create a light source or enhance the light that's here in the scene to draw the eyes in can be done this way. You go down to your adjustment layer down here, create new fill or adjustment layer, then go all the way down to the bottom and click solid color. Now I'm going to pick a black solid color. Then I'm going to go up to filter and then down to render and over to lens flare. Okay, I want to place this sun flare right up in the top corner, which is where the light is coming from. Now you can pick the intensity that you want. I'm just going to go a little bit brighter to like 135. Now the one thing I don't like about this lens flare is that I just want the light source and the soft light. I don't want all of these other flares that you get from the glass inside your lens. So I'm going to remove those. We have a remove tool. And so I'm just going to go in and remove these things. Now that that is done, we want to select our layer, the black layer here with that lens flare, go from normal down to screen. So now we have that lens flare there. If I highlight it, I can move it around and you can see how it creates a light source and some atmosphere to your image. Now, a lot of the times I like just to widen it out a little bit, just so it's not super harsh there in the corner. Now, it might not be the right color. So if I select that layer again and we go up to image, down to adjustments, and then over to color balance, this is where I can warm it up a little bit. So I'm on the midtones right now. Give it a little bit of red. The highlights can be quite yellow. A little bit of red. Shadows, we could just allow them to be a bit blue, or you can warm it right up. Let's do that. It's a little bit on the bluer side. Hit OK. Now it's covering the whole subject here, and this is where we can go over to our layer mask thumbnail, which is white. And white is to reveal, black is to conceal. So if we have our paintbrush, so my paintbrush has black on it, and I can just start painting the areas of this parrot, this Kia, that I don't want this adjustment layer affecting. Let's turn that on and off. There it is without it, and this is with that light source. Now, it's a little extreme right now, kind of to prove a point. So I might want to dial that back, the opacity, and you can just go up to opacity or fill as long as you're clicked on the right layer mask that you want to remove the opacity or bring opacity down in percentage or the fill, and then just play around with it. I'm going to go up, down. That looks pretty good. Now, there's a few other little details that I would take care of in this scene, like maybe I would bring a curves adjustment layer here and then zoom right into the eyes and just add a bit more brightness, a bit more pop to the eyes, and then even the feathers here. Allowing them to pop. Okay, let's go back to Lightroom. So here's another Kia photo that I took, and we're going to do both the shadows and the highlights all in Lightroom. So we'll go up to the adjustments layer here. I'm going to pick on linear gradient. Let's do that right there. Exposure down, contrast, blacks, or shadows down. So this is good. So now we want to remove our subject from this. So you hit the negative, select subject. Voila. Now it looks out of place. It's popped from the background, which you might like, but I like going back in and hitting the plus icon and selecting brush, and then making sure my density and flow of my brush don't go all in. You know, when you're brushing things back in, it's gradual. So I'm just going to paint back in a little bit of that shadow here to have the subject coming out of the darkness here. Looks pretty good. Now we want to create a light source or enhance the light that's there. Go up to that plus icon and let's do a radiant circular adjustment here. And I'm going to bring the exposure up, the highlights, the warmth. I want some of that warmth there too. Actually, if we go back to our other adjustment here, we could create contrasting colors, like cool in the blues there. Oh yeah, that looks good. Okay, back up to our circle here. Now, one thing I like to do to create a bit of haze is dehaze. So if we bring down the dehaze here, you can see it really softens this light source a bit. Now we can subtract our subject. There we go. I actually like it just like that. What I might do is look at the overall image, because it's a raw image. We're going to bring up the vibrance and the saturation. Yeah, that looks a lot better. And I'm going to pull down the temperature here. Now let's bring up our subject. Let's go to the plus icon, select the subject, and we're going to brighten the subject up, the shadows, add some contrast, add some color. And what I'm going to do is subtract my brush from some of the scene that's a little bit too saturated maybe. There we go. And the last thing I want to do is just get a brush, zoom way in on that eye, bring up the exposure and highlights, and just make that eye pop a little bit more. There you go, a very simple technique. Let me know down in the comments if this is something that you're interested in doing in your images. And subscribe if you want to see me out in the field, because this New Zealand adventure is going to be posted on YouTube, hopefully, hopefully soon. Thank you again so much for watching, and I will see you on the next episode. Ciao.